welcome back to my channel. I'm Alexandra. I'm from the Netherlands, from city called Tilburg, and today's video I would like to talk with you a little bit about what actually Dutch people are doing, what are actually doing with their immigrants. Are they trying to assimilate them or they're trying to integrate them? And that was a interesting topic that I was working on while writing my master thesis at Tilburg University, and today I would like to talk to you a little bit more about this and perhaps help some immigrants who are planning to move to the Netherlands and help them to understand where they're actually going. Or maybe just to talk a bit more about Dutch people in general, because not so many people know who our Dutch people are, what they believe in, how they treat immigrants. All we know that there's like legalized drugs, red light districts, and we know there is international courts, and know they're so open-minded, but these are things for the tourists. Real Dutch people are way different from their international reputation, which is great, brilliant. Their international reputation is like polished and shining, but things are not the way they look from the outside. And I want to give you this inside information as a person who has been living in the Netherlands for 5 years. I'm married to a Dutch partner. We have raising a child together. We have a dog and a cat and a house. So I know some stuff, and this inside information I would like to share with you. But before I start doing this, I would like to ask everyone to become my subscriber. Click the subscribe button, leave your likes, dislikes if you want, give me your comments, ask questions, share your experience. But guys, I really do appreciate all you have to say, but you should stay really polite and really considerable. This is my channel. If you want to say something different than like display other way of Dutch people, go ahead and do it. It's so easy to start a YouTube channel in 2020, so it's no problem. But I'm not tolerating any hate, any disrespectful way of talking to me, so don't try hard, you're gonna be banned. So today, as I said, we're going to talk about assimilation versus integration of immigrants in the Netherlands. As I said to you earlier, so many people, so many of them like view Dutch people as people who are super tolerant, like super understanding of everything, and they are like opening up their arms, and they have this right districts. You can just smoke cannabis, and you can do anything, but it's not the way the things work here. To be honest, the the immigration policy of Dutch people in the Netherlands is quite complex. I will talk as a person who has experienced immigrating to the Netherlands myself. First and the most is the fact that you have to go through a huge process called integration exams, inburgeringsexamen. Oh my gosh, you have to start with this prior moving to the Netherlands. So in your home country, you have to go to the embassy and you have to take a certain test that you have to pass. And that's quite unique for me, because it clearly displays for me the fact that Dutch people are terribly afraid of newcomers, and they perceive them as some kind of intruders and violent people who have only one thing in their mind, is to destroy their perfect, socially oriented and socially built society. And the first thing they want to do is to get money from the government and never work in their entire life. I want to disappoint them and tell them it's not true. So many people come here for opportunities, for greater opportunities. They're just not aware of the fact that the Netherlands is not America. You can earn a fortune here because taxes will eat most of your salary, and you'll have to give it for those who actually do not desire to work. And most of them are native Dutch people. They have nothing to do with immigrants. They're locals. They were born and bred here, and even ethnically they are Dutch. But this is the way life works here. What about those integration exams? How do they look like? What are the questions? I think I had a video on my channel about it. But the most disturbing and bizarre thing about those international integration exams is the fact that you have to answer a whole lot of humiliating questions. The questions that completely built in such a disrespectful, humiliating manner. When they ask you like, can you beat gay people? Can you rape women? You know, like so many like obvious things. So many people say, oh, but you don't understand. There's a lot of Muslim immigrants come from Muslim countries and they don't really know that those things are not allowed here. I'm like, why don't you build those things in a very more respectful manner? If you want to educate people, you know, you just have to show them that you have some empathy for them, for their culture. You have to start your road. You have to start with the right foot, you know, on this road. I will give you an example. Before I was, you know, studying at Tilburg University, I graduated from Tilburg University, and before I decided to pick a certain topic for my master thesis, I went to a symposium. It was like a big conference at Leiden University that was recommended by one of my professors, and there was a man there. He was from Canada. He was in an immigration policy. I don't remember which position he actually had. He wrote a huge book, and I remember he was saying a lot of nice stuff about Syrian refugees, about the boys and how they play hockey there in Canada, and like how they're nice and they're doing so well. And he was talking so optimistic with so much love and so much joy. And I remember like Dutch people were like sitting there like together with some Belgians, like, and then they were like, okay, well, wait a minute. Like, were raising their hand and were questioning, like, but how do you integrate them? And this man had such a frustrated face for a second, and he said, well, guys, it's just a bit of sympathy. And it was silence. You know why there was silence? Because Dutch people are very unemotional. They don't understand. They have very low emotional intelligence. They're completely unable to put themselves in the shoes of someone else. They're unable to even make this attempt, to have some mercy, to have some understanding of the difficult position of someone else. They're very self-centered because they were born and raised that way. And I will explain you why. Dutch people are generally very, I wouldn't call them individualists. They're very social in their thinking, but they're very self-focused. On the other hand, Americans, they're very individualistic, but they're not self-focused. And it's a very tricky difference that cannot be perceived easily, but you really need some time to actively look for this, and then you will see how actually it's being displayed in practice, on the ground, in everyday life. And unfortunately, it's really the case, you know. In 60s, 70s, the Dutch government was actively following the research of universities. It was looking to the side of the academia and what it has to say, what the research has to say, what the data possesses, and what we actually know. Do we have any, you know, credentials to believe certain things? At that time, they were pretty open, and they were listening what the universities had to say, and they allowed immigrants to live very close to each other, sort of like built communities. You can find those communities everywhere around the world. If you go to New York, where I have spent a year and a half, you can find Chinatown, you can find like Italian place, you can find Brighton Beach with so many Russian people. You can find so many different places where people from certain region, you know, come together and live closely and just, you know, maintain their way of living and maintain their way of living. Today I talk so much, so I'm sorry if my articulation is not so good. And nobody's afraid of this. Nobody's suspecting them of ruining America and destroying it. It rather gives people different kinds of opportunities to actually pick the community they would like to stick in, and like just be there and find a certain person, certain way of living more attractive, and just follow it. Dutch people see it totally different. They are terrified that people from certain ethnic origins, you know, they will make some kind of neighborhood and they won't integrate. But they usually call integration is just simple assimilation. They do not want them to maintain their ethnicity, their traditions, their cultures. They want to basically forget and do ma normal, be just like them. Oh, well, you can just practice your culture somewhere, you know, just when I don't see it, you know, just to make sure it's not there, it's not sticking so much. But please be normal, you know, don't disturb us. Don't display anything what differs you from us very actively. And I'm completely honest with this. It's really the case. You know, they are not as tolerant as many Americans could think, like, oh, European countries, they are like Western world. They're not. They just don't want you there. Like, they're just not interested in you. Just practice your shit. It's like in Russia, like when it comes to LGBT community. Russian government says, like, we have a law. Those who don't know me, I originally come from Moscow, from Russia. And in Russia, they have a law, I believe, about forbidding the propaganda of homosexuality among young people. Something like that, I call. I'm not really sure I'm actually translating it correctly. I'm not even sure, like, I'm familiar enough with all the details of that law. And that's the same thing they're doing here with immigrants. It's sort of like, well, you can practice your food and whatever but just don't stick out too much, you know, public. Just do like we do, you know, we just don't want to see you. The same thing a lot of Russian people say, like, oh, gay people, well, it's okay, you know, they can live together, you know, they just can have their stuff on the side, but don't really show it in public. Don't touch each other, like, do normal, just like we do, you know. But no, we can do it because we're straight people, but you don't. You know, it's kind of the same thing what they do here for other cultures, you know, just don't stick out so much and, you know, you will be... Okay, so basically, yeah, that's what Dutch people do, and they in fact want to assimilate people, not integrate them. They are not particularly interested in maintaining... There's actually no law in Russia that actually, the Netherlands, that protects, you know, different national minorities, except Fries people. We have a province in the Netherlands called Friesland, and these people, Fries people, they don't have their own language, a bit of a different culture, but they also speak Dutch because they live within the Netherlands. I've been there once when we were getting our dog when she was a puppy. It's really a bit different, not so much, but a bit. You know, they have their own language, they speak it, and it's Dutch people cannot understand it whatsoever. But there is a law that protects them, but there is no law that protects other minorities. You know, that's like, of course, we're all equal in this and that, but nobody's like particularly interested. When I'm saying this, I mean, if you compare, for instance, like the Netherlands with Canada, you know, where like the national focus of actually bringing people together from different kinds of ethnicities and build a country based on not like we're all different, but we're all, you know, we're all making the country what it is. Unfortunately, in the Netherlands, it's not the case. And for those who are planning to move here for finding a job, perhaps, or because you have a job offer, or you're just planning to relocate somewhere, just keep that in mind, you know. I have a video which is called like Dutch, Successful but Insensitive Society. Also watch it, please, because there are so many examples of my life and what I have encountered while living here, and how different it is from life in the States. And for those who have the same feelings about life like the way I feel, so just be careful, you know. If you're coming here with your culture in your hands and think that everybody's going to be like so excited about you, and you know, like people in the States would be, especially those who living in like East and West Coast, you know, it's like in big cities, like, oh, it's so interesting, tell me more. No, not really. No, they will look at you suspicious, like what's wrong with you, man? Like, do normal, or make some stupid jokes based on stereotypes, you know, like stupid things, like, you know, that I don't appreciate forever, like something, because I come from Russian background, people can start making like jokes about, you know, vodka or something, and smile and try to laugh about it. I'm like, okay, next time I see you, I will say like something about weed and prostitutes and also start laughing about it just because you're Dutch, you know. It's like, are you trying to show me how limited you are in your thinking? So thanks, you have already displayed it quite well. Well, Dutch are not so perfect as their international reputation, unfortunately, but they're quite good at so many things, and they're really successful. I mean, there's so much respect I pay them. But in terms of emotions, and if you're finding a place with a nice and cozy emotional atmosphere, when you feel the conversations going so smooth and the boundaries are being kept and the empathy is being displayed, it's not here. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude today, I just mean to be funny, but doesn't always come across that way. So thank you guys for your attention. It was some short story about no discrimination, actually it's what they do also actively, about integration versus assimilation. I said what I think about it. It's not only what I think about it, it's also based on the research that I've done at Tilburg University. And as a matter of fact, I graduated from the university and defended my master thesis successfully. So I have the rights to say what I say, because it's based on a current knowledge and my own analysis as an expert. And again, thank you that you will be there with me, and leave your comments, questions, and see you again in my next video. Bye bye.